Hey, everyone. It is your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, back with another episode of Neon Mike, where the conversations just glow. Today, I have a very special guest with me. You may know him from Blurred's Eye View or just everywhere on YouTube, social media, giving us all the latest recaps, revisiting our childhood memories. It is Tafari TV.
Yo, what to do? What to do? What to do?
I'm so excited that you reached out to be on my show because it was such a lovely time talking with you and the crew on Blurred's Eye View. That's how we first, met each other, and we're both on the Blurred Station press corps. So, what has it been like for you just being a part of this huge collective?
It's been an interesting journey, seeing a lot more of what goes on behind the scenes. Being a part of those conversations, seeing how wrapped together and reckless those can get in the span of 2 seconds. Seeing that it's just, I'm seeing that we all at least have a common goal of something we want to try to build and work towards, and finding finally like-minded people with the same mindset.
Right. And for those that don't know, Blurred Station is a streaming platform that it's where if you want black sci-fi, that is the place to go. It is still growing in development. You could definitely subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe and build it out. And then because the idea of seeing us in fiction, not just like any type of fiction, like we're not talking about early original series sci-fi. We're talking about like high quality uh Marvel-esque. I need to stop doing that because I just made a complaint about people like comparing
Trying to do
their product
comparisons,
to
but
like other many things, but it's like it's top tier science fiction, and we get to see us and our the just to see us as a people and something that we grew up with, in our childhood. And it's a really amazing product that you guys should definitely invest in. And you can, because if you do subscribe, you do get a return later on. So win win. And of course, this is the press corps. We get the benefit of being on the front lines. But you've been doing this for quite a while, sir. So you're no newbie to the media space or the blurred media space. So how
yeah.
did you get started?
I used to work in radio in college, and good lord, it's an election year. So I snuck into a Trump rally once. That was completely just a goof. I didn't think it was actually gonna work. So we used to do a lot of like stuff at the campus radio station when I went to school in Wisconsin. And then I saw they had a press application at like this town hall meeting. And I was like, this will be funny. I'll just apply as a goof. And they're like, you've been approved. Be here at this time. This time, like, so then me and three of my friends got in the car and drove like 2 hours to De Pere, Wisconsin from Milwaukee. And if you ever see the photo of what that press section looked like, it's like Fox News and then CNN and then like West 6. And then there's me in a DBZ hoodie. And then there's somebody else from Fox. And if you see a photo of that press corps, it looks like who photoshopped the black dude in the anime hoodie. And they're like, I don't belong. Like even the selfie we took after the whole thing was over, I'm like, this feels so out of place. But because everyone else is in suit and ties, and I'm just like Goku jacket. But after that, we worked our way into a couple of nightclubs and DJed some events and hosted. And then I kind of got a little bit more of that background when I worked in actual radio after graduation. And I had a guy by the name of Keith Day. Keith kind of showed me how to maneuver that space. So then by the time I started hitting the con scene and kind of learned about how press worked, we were on Fanbase, and they found us and wanted to do more things involving the nerdy space. So I was like, okay, well, first off, I'm gonna need some shirts or some hats or some hoodies. I'm not paying for them. Also, I'm gonna need like either badges, and I'm gonna need y'all to fill out these applications. And after that, it was pretty much up from there. And then that's kind of how I got shifted over into Blurred's Eye in that space. And so little by little, I've been learning things on the fly and just helping other people we meet in our little areas with that, so that they can just take it and run with it themselves.
That's very interesting. I find it funny that your journalism journey started off as a gag and then
Yep.
it just led to like such great opportunities. And it also goes to show like to be a journalist, you just need like the interest to tell stories. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the pressure to always have a degree. I'm self taught as well with everything that I'm doing. So like I totally understand of just like learning as you do, and it has like immense benefits. Some drawbacks. There are probably some things that some goofs that could have been prevented, but at the same time, like it's been a ride. I would say so myself, and it seems like it's been a ride for you. Um, Speaking of the election, how are you doing after the result? Because you were in Texas, a very red state. So how are you been holding up so far?
It's been pickup trucks with flags on the back of them for the last week and some change, but that's just an average Tuesday here, so pretty much the same. Watch my neighbors argue on Facebook, but then pretend to be nice in public. It's honestly all hilarious to me. So, I mean, nothing too crazy outside the wheelhouse. It's pretty much if you live here, the last 4 years have basically been the same. They you couldn't tell them somebody else was ever in the Oval Office.
Ah, fair. So you're just I guess if as a black person, as much as we wanted Kamala Harris, I think my overall reaction has been disappointed but not surprising.
Surprise, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's been like everybody's vibe, and we're just kind of like, okay, I guess we just continue to move how we've been moving. And it's just like, just kind of as that, I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, it's the end of the world. And yeah, I'm gonna go to another country. That's been like the energy that I've kind of seen a lot on the internet. But I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's that bad. If
I
that's the same.
mean, we because they always say it's the end of the world, and then it's our fault if it happens, or if we don't prevent the premise. It's always up to us to complete the cycle. But this time, we unanimously have been like, we did our part. Y'all got some other stuff to figure out, and we will continue to. We'll even more so than usual do our own thing over here, while the rest of y'all handle y'all repercussions or whatever. Because usually, whatever plans y'all got, positive or negative, don't include us anyway. So but we tried. We made a unified attempt, and not about to hear the blame game of how some of us didn't do anything, or all this division. So I at least like that we got more unity out of it, and we have just closed the gates of Wakanda to everybody.
Yeah, it's the like, can I like take back my vote? Can I change my vote? Like that being a popular search is very concerning. I don't really understand it. I don't understand the immediate regret when y'all already knew what the deal was. So I'm just like, okay, it's just uh I don't even know what to like really do that. I don't know we like if there's a joke there or if it even can be considered satire. It's kind of like just sad, honestly.
I mean, y'all. I mean, it's either that or they was getting to march on the Capitol again. Either way, Ashley Pack's still getting smoked on January 6th. So I mean, y'all was up there playing full games of climbing walls and honky Kong. So like, I don't like, and the fact that there was so many of them that was out at some of the people, some of these blue events and whatnot, and clearly still went to the other side. So I mean, what do y'all want us to? Again, it's like I say in Florida when it comes to how certain groups are getting treated. It's like, what do y'all want us to do about something you chose? Like,
Yeah.
we can't get what we asking for. You want us to undo something you went through the process to put into place? GG's pimp, we gonna be over here.
Yeah. I think it's just we tried to create the Rainbow Coalition, and it's just black and white. That's what I kind of take from it.
Yeah, and we going. We'll stay where it's black.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. But on the brighter side, you seem to be enjoying yourself. You recently went to a convention. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was. I think I still have my badge. Yeah, didn't know they had a whole Sonic themed convention out here in Dallas. So it was called Sonic Expo. It was a smaller one at a little convention center not far from here, but it was interesting. Like I like Sonic, but some of these people really like Sonic. Like I like was hitting all the poses from different video games. I've never seen speed running done. They had like a game room where they had a lot of fan made games that people were playing and testing out. Some of the voice actors of like different games and shows and movies were there. And I got to interview Lee Majdu, who plays Agent Stone in the movies, and is going to be in the third movie coming up. So it was an interesting experience. I've never been to like that niche of an event. So going to something like that specific, and then I got to bring my brother with me. Got to meet a couple other blurs, a guy named G to the next level. Crystal Chanel, who's been on a couple of our friend shows, and I've met at DreamCon before, so it was interesting.
Oh, that's good. I really had like a great time. Well, I'm not surprised Sonic has that following. I think I can't think of one person that didn't have like the first Sonic game or had like at least one Sonic game, and I think the movies have really blown up, especially after they made that CGI correction. That
Yeah, bullying works and listening to your fans.
if only every company did that.
When
Sony will learn one day. Sony will learn one day.
it's gonna take like a lawsuit and like the Death Note for them to learn at this point.
Did you see Venom 3? Yeah, or
I
you
I did. Venom 3 was a movie. It's very clear. It's like there are things that y'all had something good, and then you can very much see where Sony was just kind of doing stuff to almost be spiteful and make sure the MCU can never use it. Like the beginning almost felt like a retcon. And then I'm not mad at anyone who was part of the promotion because that was all over the place. Get your coins by all means, but y'all just people was doing skits. Y'all had Meg Thee Stallion on FaceTime. It's just like where? What are we? I again get y'all money, but as far as Sony, what are y'all trying to do here?
I think it's just fan service. I think they know that true Spider-Man fans will probably want to go see it. Like I'm probably going I haven't seen the Venom movies in theater. I only like streamed it. But I may go see Craven.
My
Just
dad, my dad's a big Craven the Hunter. He's a Craven and a Morbius fan. I don't know how to tell him. So I mean, he was okay with Morbius, disappointed definitely, but now he's hyped for Craven, and I'm just like, you really want to do this again?
I think it's the issue is any movie that's bad, I blame it on not. It's mostly because the weak villains. I think that's except for Venom 2 had a shot. I don't know, like with Carnage, I felt like that had such high potential, and then I don't. It just it went left, and it's like that's such a waste because Woody Harrelson is just an amazing actor, but there's only so much that you
That's
can
my
do.
mom's not even like a superhero fan, but she went to that movie because of him, and then all the setup, and you just they definitely are making these movies for whatever contract they have, less because they care. Like it's the same with the X-Men movies after Days of Future Past. It's just y'all have to get a certain amount of these out, or you lose everything, which you lost anyway. Because the New Mutants did not need to be made.
That's
I lost 2 hours of my life on that. I'm never getting that back. But even with Carnage, I'm like great villain, but y'all didn't explain the significance of the red one or why he wants to kill Venom so bad. Or why this cop is such a dick, and I'm supposed to care about him in the third movie.
yeah. I think it's just a quick cash grab for the most part, and it's such a disservice to the true fans because they're great characters, and I'm just like, y'all could choose any Spider-Man, Toby, Andrew, Tom, for these villains, and it just feels like it's such a waste, and it's like,
And then whatever they do, they can't use in the MCU. So the Hail Mary at the end of Venom 3 is like, this was great, but we're never going to see it over there because y'all waited till. Like, the last act of Venom 3 is what all three films should have been like, is the best way I can put it.
mm.
Meanwhile, damn near Sonic was on damn near the brink of death and somehow came back with a spark of life and has knocked it out the park 6 years in a row.
It depends on the team and the writing. That's all I have to say. And it also depends. Is like I think a lot of the writers for these like the earlier comic book movies were just like, oh, we're just gonna do our interpretation of it, or it's just like not true fans. And when you see somebody that is a true comic book fan and that's like just a fanatic, I should say, and then you see the difference of the work. We saw it with Deadpool, like outstanding. Uh, please let Ryan Reynolds live. Protect that man at all cost, and like you know what I mean? Just somebody that actually gets it. Or with James Gunn, like the switch from Guardians of the Galaxy and then with the new is like DCU is what DCUE
DC Extended Universe, I think is what we call it. A new DCU, I think is just a fair name for it.
and the difference that it makes. It all depends on like who's at the helm and who like just understands the material. But we're not always fortunate to have that. And so we
That's
just have
part of
to.
why I think this thing has blown up into getting its own convention, because it's like throughout all the media, they've got people who work on the movies who get it, who work on the new shows who get it, who work on the new games who get it, who work on the new cartoons who get it, who work on the new comics that get it. And it's just universally they've made sure every department is on the same page and somewhat interacting with each other. Like even with this new game that came out, it's technically just a game from 10 years ago plus some, but the way they've hyped it up and didn't disappoint people and gave us enough nostalgia with a mix of brand new things that people have been asking for a while, like that's why this franchise basically came back from being on life support back in like 2017. And now they're doing this whole year of Shadow. I'm like, this convention happened at the perfect time because especially with the movie coming up. James Earl Jones, I love you, but I'll catch Mufasa 2025. Y'all picked the wrong weekend to come out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is very fair. Um, on top of like, I enjoy the way you just bring back pleasant memories. Your recap of X-Men Evolution and the series that you did on that after like X-Men 97, I was like, damn, I really want to go back and watch it now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, one, how did you come up with the idea for you to like run that series? And are we going to see more recaps, whether it's X-Men or another series?
So what was it? Because we were doing. Because what was it? On Blurred's Eye, out it's me and Shoei are like the babies of the group. So I had never seen X Men, the original animated series. It's just back when it was called Jetix before it became Disney XD. They would like Disney had the rights to those cartoons and would air them sometimes, but they would only air them when a movie was coming out. So, and they would air those specific episodes. So, like when X3 came out, they aired like just the Phoenix episodes, but they were all random and like out of order. And
Oh,
then they never would show the original thing. And even when I was like talking to them, people were like, "Oh, how did you miss the Fox box?" I'm like, born in 95, y'all are talking about things that either were out when I wasn't born or I was like a baby and didn't know any better. So, oh, these definitely came on TV. Right. I was not alive during that time. I don't know how people on Facebook are hard headed. But when 97 was coming out, we did the trailer reaction and everybody was so hyped. And I'm just like, I also like X-Men. I don't have the backstory. I don't know what y'all are looking forward to. So I was like, all right, let me try to. And then somebody, it was either, I don't know if it was Bo or someone else on Twitter was like, here's how many episodes you need to watch a day from starting now to the premiere to get caught up. And I'm like, I was in Florida at my grandparents. That's also what it was. And I don't have like any of my setup there. So I was like, I try to make what little content, I try to make what content I have with the least amount of stuff. So I was like, let me just, while I have free time and nobody to bother me for like a month, let me just binge this show and I'll just break it apart into pieces. So I was going along with that schedule until 97 hit. And I was like, all right, I can see the appeal of this original show up until this came out. Then we started doing the X-Men like episode reviews on Blurred's Eye, and then they kept getting longer and longer. but when I would cut the recap and put it by itself, people was coming back and watching it like in full to the point where the last episode, where I think we did like an hour on just the finale, people watched that entire thing by itself, like on repeat.
Nice.
So, and then we had guests coming on to the show who wanted to come talk about it with us, and I was like, all right, Wednesdays are boring now, and I don't remember all of X-Men Evolution. I remember up to like when the Sentinels got launched and everybody got exposed, and that's about it. I didn't even know like there was an apocalypse story, so I was like, just to kind of keep the tradition. Also, I want to try to finish the show. Let me try X Men Evolution just to kind of kill time until season 2 gets here. I didn't think during doing that season two's wait would get longer and worse,
Yeah.
but yeah, also I like that show because it's they could easily tell other X Men stories, but instead they did their own version of just the X Men as a whole. That's I
Mhm.
think that shows also why the Wolverine Jean love triangle never sat right with me, because in that show he's more everyone's mentor
Right.
versus competing with Scott. So he's trying to teach Scott how to talk to girls. Storm is trying to keep the kids in class, and him, Storm, and Professor Xavier, like they try to make it to every soccer game, every basketball game, every school play. Like they actually act like an actual mutant family, and that's kind of what I liked about revisiting that.
Yeah, I was just like, people forget like Logan is old, like World War I, or even like older than that.
He I think became an adult to fight in World War I, but yeah, was even older than that. I think in what are they saying? Deadpool Wolverine, he's like 200 or something. But
Yeah, so I was just like, eh.
yeah, even seeing that like that show is like they basically did a lot of that. They took elements, but they basically did most of that show from scratch. So finding out that's even where X-23 even came from, like, why this should have been talked about a lot more than it is today.
Yeah, very, very. I remember really enjoying the scene the X-Men as like high school students and just like, oh, I have mutant powers and I'm dealing with high school and puberty.
That's the part of it. I'm like, I remember it's like, okay, y'all can fight, but y'all got to wrap it up by like 6 a.m. or 2 o'clock. Not between 6 a.m. and 2 o'clock, because it's like there's one episode where it's like they're chasing Rogue around trying to recruit her, and then Mystique sabotages it, and it's like, cool, none of that matters. Y'all both got English together at like 3 p.m. So act right.
Yeah. I think it just added like far more tension. Well, I mean, X-Men has always been very dramatic. We're in a sense like almost like a soap opera.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oh, I think it was around the time I was in high school and college and just kind of like watching that and it was just like I enjoy it. And maybe I just have a like just enjoy seeing Rogue portrayed as a goth because I feel like that makes them.
I did like their portrayal of her as well. The fact that she was almost pretty much the most overpowered person in the entire show. And then at the end, when they kind of show you like Nimrod, the Phoenix, Rogue actually being able to fly, actually her kind of love triangle with Scott and Jean, and those two kind of competing all the time. That was more interesting to me than Logan, because and then Scott ends up going out with Jean's best friend until he gets outed. So it's hilarious. It's mutant stuff with hilarious teen antics, and it was such a nice, refreshing thing versus what they usually try to pull. That's kind of why the whole X3 love triangle threw me up. Going, this isn't what's happening in the show y'all currently have, which is just a cartoon version of these films. But with that, it's like they took such a unique approach to everything, and it. I think it stood the test of time, but doesn't get talked about like it should. But yeah, so the ending of X Men Evolution, when they show you like Nimrod, Phoenix, and all, it's like okay, so y'all could have easily that was. I feel like that was them showing we could have easily just gave you all the classic X Men stories that you know and love, but instead we just took the X Men as a whole and kind of did our own thing. And clearly, with Wolverine's clone daughter, maybe yes, no, or whatever you want to call her. Like, so there were some things from this show that was good enough for y'all to keep. I think only person. Also, I like Spike. I like seeing another black mutant on screen outside of Storm, and seeing her being as like a helpful aunt, actually to her own nephew as well as like to all the kids. And then we never saw Spike again. That's just
Yeah.
not. He's the one character who has not made it off that show.
And I feel sad because it's like we had Darwin at one point and then immediately killed off, even though he could have I'll still never get over that.
I was just on the old trope of we don't make it very far in movies, but I didn't realize how upset X-Men fans as a whole were like about him not making it to the film.
just like he can adapt to anything. He dies. Like it never made sense. It's like I still say justice for Darwin.
Him too, yeah. And then Days of Future Past, I feel like was their best chance at cleaning that up because that was them basically saying whichever timeline of movies you follow, everyone ends up basically in this same spot.
Mm-mm-mm. That
It's like the only time we've seen, I think, though, that newer series of X-Men movies and the original three cross, and then they kind of fixed the timeline at the end, and then maybe they all got obliterated in Deadpool or Wolverine. We're not sure which timeline that was.
I, it's all in the past now. We are getting the X-Men. They're bringing them into the MCU. So I just say it's like it is what it is. We're starting anew, and that's my just like that's the way I have to look at it. And it's
Uh,
like
I pray for whoever they cast because people are going to complain no matter what.
that's fair, but it's like we confirmed Beast.
Yeah, Beast we know. I'm blanking on Homegirl's name. The other one,
And then
Monica's mom.
yeah, and then is Professor X coming back? I know he died in one timeline, but I don't know if they're gonna like. And then Deadpool, Wolverine.
Yeah, and then we know that in the world where Monica is, there is a Charles. We just don't know if it's young Charles or Multiverse of Madness, which I feel like that might be his last time. Like Multiverse of Madness to me felt like a Fox fling. It just that felt like testing ground to see how much y'all like these characters still.
Yeah,
And then they came with Fantastic Four. Then they came with the X-Men sneak peek. So also that dude I think is like 90 something. So I would not be surprised if we get a new actor or they get the younger person from the other three movies to come in.
I think it's McCoy.
McCoy, yeah.
Yeah, I think McCoy. I think I like him as Charles Xavier. I think that if Patrick Stewart, was just like I'm good and just leaves it be, that's fine. I think McCoy does a pretty good. He's a dope actor in general, so I feel like he would do very well if they bring him into the MCU. So if they're gonna do a younger Charles, that also means a younger Magneto.
Yeah, which I think we would need both of those dudes are up there in age, and God forbid something happens, and now we gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
So I think McCoy and the other dude, I think will be fine. Especially because it seems like we have a more expansive X-Men team possibly being loaded up.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll see.
but yeah, and I think I would also like to see other mutant characters that don't get a lot of attention. I still want Jubilee. Can we have a Jubilee on the big screen at some point? Because she is so beloved, but has limited screen time or no screen time unless you get like the extended cut. But it's like I want Jubilee to
Was
definitely.
Jubilee was she in the original films or in the last couple ones they made?
I think like she was like kind of in the last one, but we never got to see her power. It was just like, oh, she was there. But we didn't get to see her do her thing, and it's like she's such a fun character. And after seeing her again in '97, I'm just like, you see the fan reaction, you see it. She'd be perfect. Just bring her into the MCU, bring her to life, please, please,
Right.
please,
Because
please.
even in Evolution, she was there as like not a forefront character. She was part of the new recruits that came in. I think second season, and then she got shipped home when they blew up their house.
I just justice for Juba.
Yeah, I hope they because it seems like they're expanding the mutant cast outside the base team. So I'm hoping we get like when we get X-Men, I'm hoping it's like a packed house or at least a star-studded team with more than who we're usually accustomed to. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, same. Because again, X Men is such like its own universe with so many characters and there's so many avenues that they can go. Um, but are we all we can do right now is just like fingers crossed at this point. But um, Kevin has been doing a really good job. I don't think he has really disappointed fans.
I feel like his heart's in the right place. It's just sometimes the final product ain't what he probably expected it to be, and that's just part of being head honcho and having to delegate to other people.
Mm.
Like I watched Love and Thunder watched me. I didn't watch Love and Thunder. And I keep hearing that that's the better experience.
Ragnarok was like I think the best film from Thor for Thor in general. I think that's the
Yeah.
strongest out of that franchise.
To the point where I'm like, do we need a fourth and possibly fifth one? Like, I get it. He could outlive everyone in there, so he would be there for generations of heroes. But do we need full feature films for this to continue?
But I would say this: Chris Hemsworth is just a great himbo. I think there is a certain charm to the character where he's a tremendous action star. Um, it's just like I gravitate toward. It's like I don't know. It's like I just think the chemistry that they have for his love interest just didn't work, and I think they kind of like poked at it a little bit. Um, and they found like a good way to kind of like squash it, and now that he can, move on and still be like Thor is just a fun character. I love what Chris brings to the table with it, so I wouldn't mind the franchise continuing as long as they still bring that great humor because I don't think anybody really takes Thor that seriously.
Right. I feel like some of the films took themselves too seriously because the first films, like, it mostly took place in this like backwater town. Second film was the tone was right. I feel like for the Dark World, but he's such a not serious character. But then we finally, I feel like that would have been the time for more of his maturity to kick in. But maturing him and his powers in the third film, that felt like they finally got a good formula going. And then the fourth one, I know even they said they felt like they got a little too crazy with the jokes and the humor, and the film just didn't take itself seriously at all for what it was trying to do.
That's
I
fair.
think Gore was a good character and played very well.
And I think just having him just bounce through different teams and it's fun. Like I still want him to be with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But with Thor, I'll take more of Thor. As it's like it's fun. I take it for what it is. It's kind of the same way I take the Fast and Furious franchises. I'm not expecting Shakespearean plot with it. I'm looking for fast cars and then Tyrese Black reaction to everything.
Yeah, see, they've given you that to go in for that, and don't set your hopes too high. All the ridiculous stuff of submarines and space and tanks, it's going to be ridiculous. Don't act surprised when you get in the theater. You know what you bought a ticket to.
Exactly. So it's just like, oh, we're enemies. By the end of the movie, we're allies now. It is
Right. John
Fast
Cena was
and
out here doing
Furious.
they had John Cena doing whole war crimes, and now it's fun uncle. It's and then what they had who was it? Idris Elba is basically the Bionic Man out there now, which I didn't mind Hobbs and Shaw. To me, that movie was okay,
I think that was a
but
really good spinoff.
yeah, a lot of people hated it just for being a spinoff, but I'm like, it actually wasn't bad.
I think it was pretty solid. It's like we could just say like Fast and Furious is One Piece with cars. I feel like that's a fair comparison.
It's yeah, that's pretty accurate. And even One Piece had to take a break after a while.
It break. They're up to like 1,000 episodes and then they're starting over.
Yeah, they're on hiatus right now because I think the book and the show are getting too close again. So animation team is on a hiatus till further notice.
Oh wow. I just can't imagine being like an animator on One Piece and just being on it for like so long.
Well, they've jumped studios so many times. I think it's not a permanent gig. Like I know when they did Dragon Ball Super Broly, right after that movie came out, that team was basically snatched over to One Piece for the entire arc of Wano, which was like the last 200 episodes. So I'm like, okay, I'll take movie quality animation, but I'm like, I hope y'all get to go home, like ever.
Yeah. I was just like, are y'all okay over there? Like the
Like,
demand for it, because like I understand like the cultural impact that One Piece and Dragon Ball has, but there has to be an in between from like the time that they're producing stuff and then with Attack on Titan's release. Because I had to kind of just I wanted to wait until like everything was out for Attack on Titan. I need to catch up on that, but it's like I couldn't the wait in between.
yeah, if you were actively waiting, even from the start of from the end of season one, that wait for season two just to be as short as it was just that was painful. And then when season two ended, it's like, all right, that didn't tell us much, but okay. And then season three was chock full of things. And it's just like I feel like y'all could have left some of this in the past season, but whatever. And then season four, and then season four split into like 3.5 movies with DLC, and it's just like can y'all just we know how it ends already. Can y'all like it
And
was
then
very Aaron in my mind. Aaron did nothing wrong. Now, Aaron was a black anti-hero for a solid 3 months during the rumbling in the manga because when he was doing that in the manga, it was COVID riot time 2020. So we was actively tearing stuff up in the streets, and everyone's just like, yeah, here's somebody who's actually doing it and winning. So if you're supposed to have us rooting against him, that's not what's happening right now.
um oh wow. What a time. What a
And,
time.
and the whole world had eyes on us because of what we were writing about. So yeah, that was the birth of Aaron did nothing wrong.
Mm. It's always good to have like a face to the movement. I think like we have we evolved past that mentality, or do you feel like now it's just like it's gonna stick?
I think I don't feel like you need a face for the movement. I feel like you just need a movement that more faces can be a part of.
Mm.
But at the same time, not everybody need the voice because some folks need to be given a direction and told where to walk and shut the hell up. Because even with some of the stuff we trying to do now, with what we're trying to move forward with in Blurred Station and just our group and people and Blurred as a whole, but then you got some of our folks who want to be just angry about the wrong things or trying to fuss and fight or send these over aggressive ass DMs or weird story reply things, and it's just like that, like sis, homie, that's just we not no. I get it, we upset, but not like this.
The
And it was
crash outs
collect.
are cool. The crash
It,
outs were
and then if we're collectively telling you not like that, maybe go process that energy and come back, and you tell us no, we're just gonna be walking in this direction. If you can catch up, otherwise, nice knowing
yeah. But the good news is I have seen some pockets where people are coming together as a collective and trying to make a the basically make lemonade out of the lemons that we got, and that does give me a spark of hope, and that the realization is I'm seeing less of the divide now, and I'm seeing more like, okay, we can come together and actually make something happen. We can promote black owned businesses, black creators. We can promote um whatever we need to do in the community just to make something happen. And that is a beautiful thing to see. So it's like I feel like the crash out phase, I feel like we're in this like 5 stages of grief.
you. Yeah.
I feel like people are coming towards the acceptance and moving towards a plan of action. And I think that that's the best thing that we can do for right now. So it's like I feel like things are going to be okay. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I don't feel like it is as hopeless as we originally thought it was going to be because people are taking the time to take action.
Right, and that's what I kind of like about how we're moving because we at least are coming up with a plan of action, where every other group is currently crashing out, and it's like we've done that enough to where we get over that in like a couple hours. We then move like y'all are new to feeling like disenfranchised people. We just are, and we are just pulling our people and resources and dollars and just pulling them into an us and us only space, and I'm okay with that. But if you're now just crashing out for clicks, like don't talk to me. Like
That's not healthy.
it's not healthy and it's not helping. You're also gaining an audience that's you don't have talking points. Y'all just have targets, and that's the only time y'all can come together. So I mean, what we're doing, what we're trying to help with these spaces, the little things we're trying to do, especially with con season getting closer, because Blurred moved up and Dream had to move, so we're just focusing on us and us only, and I think we're better for it.
Yeah, and I think so too. And speaking of going back to the convention scene, you have collected a lot of badges, sir. How many cons have you gone to this year?
Not a lot. I went to, I think most I've done in a year was like 7, but this year I went to Blurred, Dream, Sonic Expo, um, and MomoCon. MomoCon was the first for me. But other than that, I've been to those. I've been to Dragon. I've been to MegaCon. What is it? Weeb out here in Texas, because a lot of them are out here, especially in Dallas for some reason. Because we have the esports center, that's why. And so we've been to Weeb, and we had another smaller one that KamehaCon, which is a Dragon Ball theme con, and we got a smaller one out in Florida called Mystic MyCon, and that's another one I used to go to a lot. But yeah, one time I did a bunch of those in a year, and I think I tapped out at like 7. Some definitely will see me again. Some I'm good.
Do you want to elaborate on the ones that you're just like,
Just overall, as much grief as we give spaces run by us, like a Blurred or a Dream or J1. J1's another one I've been to that's owned by us. Like a Blurred or a Dream or J1 Con, I'm always gonna appreciate having spaces that are run by us, because then when you get to other places and you're just reminded, like, this ain't it's not this much hoops to jump through when I gotta go through, even if it's the first time experiencing with a black owned con. Whereas I go to other events and it's like, okay, well, here's your badge. I'm like, cool, but y'all didn't give me any info. Like, am I going? Is there a room for us? Can I charge my stuff? Is there like a editing room? Or, and then it's like they don't give you those. Everyone else has this information. They don't give it to you unless you ask. And then you ask them about interviews, and then they get kind of stingy about that because they don't know you, or they tell you you can only talk to certain people. And it's like, why did you even approve me if I couldn't talk to any of the people I wanted to talk to?
uh,
Um, or then if he's like, okay, you got the interview, but I need to see a list of your questions and then run it by their what their
their
handler for the day.
manager or PR
Yeah,
person?
they got to run it by their handler, who then runs it by their manager, who then runs it by them, and then we'll send you back the questions you're allowed to ask. And I'm like, what? Whereas at a black con, it's like, all right, you got it. Just don't go in there. Don't be the person to mess this up. And I feel like we universally have that understanding in our spaces. Um, a press badge at a black con is very much like it's like a privilege that you earned. At other cons, it feels like a shackle, because now it feels like you're under more rules and restrictions than the average con goer. Like,
Mm.
there's another one in Atlanta that me and Demetrius both went to, and a couple other of our Blurred companions frequent. And I'm like, I think I would have had a better time here as just a regular goer, because all the rules and they hit me with DAO rules from like Fairly Odd Parents and stuff, like that big ass book. It's just like, yeah, you can't go here, you can't go talk to this person, don't talk to this, you'll get in trouble for this, you get in trouble for that. I'm like, why am I here? Managed to pull off one big interview, but they sent me that. Like, if I went to bed like a normal person, I would have missed the interview and the email for it, because that email came like late. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, it's gonna be early. So I got there earlier. And the lady's like, did you get the email? I'm like, I didn't get the first two. What I missed? Like, oh, they're moving the interview up to now. I'm like, so it's just me in here.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's fine. And then everyone showed up, and then the guests showed up. And it was a good time. At that point, I was over it. If you watch the interview, you'll know which one. You can hear me kind of just taking over the room, because I'm sitting in the front row. I have my camera, and I can see everyone's like kind of discombobulated because they all got the same last minute adjustment. They had to rush here and probably pay for the special parking next door, which was a lot. I was like, hey, we're all friends, right? Y'all just want to go one at a time? Cool, I'll go first. And the whole interview ran like that.
Honestly, it's dope that you're able to like take charge of the situation. I've probably share the same sentiment. You can feel the difference between a Black-owned convention and a regular convention, where it just feels like the freedom, everybody is just cool with whatever, whereas it just feels like at other conventions you're kind of like on your own. And I feel like there definitely should be some guidance, especially as this especially if you're approving somebody that's like their first time being there. Like I feel like there has to be like some type of level of orientation, or just some type of coaching, so that because it's supposed to be a mutual exchange, right? Like, of course, I get to go to this fun convention for free, but I'm also trying to give you guys press and promotion and, hype up the convention so people will want to come to the next one. So, but I just feel like not all the conventions really get that
They
at all.
don't, especially with some of them who have regulars who come back and do their press. So then when you get invited or you get approved, it gets very boys club ish.
Mm.
So like I didn't understand like what a walk of fame was that some of them do, where they basically like huddle all their big name people in one little private area, and then they just line them up for like interviews and or not interviews, but like signings and autographs and videos and pictures. And I went to one where they were just like, yeah. I'm like, I've been asking over email, what does that mean? They're like, you're approved for press, you're not approved for Walk of Fame. I'm like, it's like basically you can't talk to anyone in there. If they catch you trying to talk to anyone in there, they can remove your badge or revoke it. I'm like, what? I'm like, so why would y'all lock me out of the one thing I came over here for, which was, and then there's like, well, here are the people you can interview, and they're like scattered across 3 or 4 different buildings with no specific location. I'm just supposed to go on a Dragon Ball journey and find these people, talk to them, interview them, then submit it to back to them, and maybe they will approve me for next year at a higher tier, is what I was told. That's one of the ones I was like, yeah, this will be my first and last time here.
Yeah, I don't like the gatekeeping. You know what I mean? Like, you never know what could go viral because the algorithm is
Random.
it's super random. Like, I even think more random than the lottery. So to gatekeep or to just to block someone it never makes any sense to me. I feel like you're just putting I don't like okay, so with our collective, I never felt like it was a competition. I felt like everybody
Yeah.
was there to kind of help each other out with the interviews, and it was like a fair exchange and just kind of encouraging each other to be better. But it seems like with what you experienced at that convention, it was just like not just competition, but it's just like you wouldn't even get a chance to get out the gate for real, for real.
Yeah, gate was broken and I had to like pick the lock to get through. The only reason I pulled off the one big interview is because his manager hadn't gotten back to them yet. So when we finally got the approval, they're just like, "Yeah, it'll be at this time," and I'm like, "It's like 11:30 at night. We're on the train going back to the apartment. Like, thankfully we're both awake right now and caught this. Otherwise, we just would have been SOL." But even then, with you got to approve your questions. Like, if you went through the stuff to approve me, clearly, I'm not about to come in here and do something weird. But I think they were also spooked because of the strike and all that stuff, and making sure nobody asked questions that they were the place rules were getting violated or whatever. But yeah, with us, we've always been more lenient with each other and a lot more freedoms taken. It's a lot more like I kind of did my interviews a bit different at DreamCon this year, where I kind of kept the before and after bits because we were like clowning with the guests before we even got started.
Mm.
Like we asked like this was Kevin on stage his like first year in his anime journey and doing cosplay and all that. So he's like, I've never done like a real press conference. So I just jumped up. I was like, you and the scout regiment just can't get it right out there. What's going on? And he's like, hey man, look, we got a gas. 60-meter Titans, 30-meter Titans. It's rough out here. Like the whole room was just like chuckling the entire time. That was before the interview even went on. But like that, you don't really get that everywhere, which is why we have these spaces. Which is why I tell people just yes, let's try to hold each other accountable. Fill out a form. Stop putting out 1,000 tweets or videos on TikTok for rage clicks. Stop the convention crash outs for the love of God. Like that's part of what made me make the guide this year. I'm like, because eventually it was gonna be me just. Originally, it was gonna be kind of like those if anyone's ever seen them, the old like goofy shorts of like how to fish or how to play football, how to work out, and then they did a bunch for COVID. But I was like, let me do one for anime conventions because like I've just learned a lot of this stuff trial by fire, but maybe this will help somebody like later down the line. And then it got to be longer and longer and longer as I went to other cons, and I was like, I can turn, and then it ended up being almost like 15 minutes, and I sat on that for like a year just trying to shape it out. And then I was like, I could just make this me doing stupid stuff, and then the voice or the voiceover person is like cussing me out. But then I'm like, there's a lot of people who genuinely hit me up like, I don't know what to do for press, or I don't know how to properly do this, or how do I? I'm like, well, first make a playlist here of all your content so it's easy to find, or hey, go to here on Instagram. What do your analytics say? What's your demographic? How many does it say? What percent men and women, or does it say what countries other people view you in? And I was like, what if I just put together like a no swearing, no a few rage moments, but nothing crazy. Just here's how you do these things based on the most common occurrences at a convention. And then I took those and broke them into segments. So there's a long cut out there that has all of them in one piece. But once a month, I take a chunk of it out and just drop it by itself. So far, the responses have been good. It's been beneficial to someone out there. I hope, hopefully.
No, I appreciate you doing that because a lot of people don't have an understanding or even like take the time to look at their analytics and how helpful that could be. So the fact that you are like putting these packages together and really helping up and comers, because a lot of times when people say they want to be a content creator or a YouTube star, they don't understand like what it takes to have your YouTube channel to grow. You know what I mean? It's like you have to have that social media marketing background or just like a business background, honestly. And I feel like there's always like that disconnect. It's like, oh well, if I do something stupid and silly, it's gonna go viral. And then it's just like maybe not rely on that. Maybe just kind of take the time to look at the data and see where you fall in.
Yeah, and then some people, and then they get there and they don't really know how to interact with people. Or shout out to my homie Swift. He was with me at MomoCon, and he really wanted to meet Cloudy McDoom for years, who I've gotten close with over the last year or so. Cool content creator, does a lot of Kingdom Hearts stuff like I do. But I had to like nudge him, like, okay, introduce yourself. Okay, give him your business card. Ask for his email, or if it's a guest you want to talk to, go find them and then talk. Say hi to them. Say hi to their manager, because that's the guest, especially if they're nice, will say yes all day. And then it's the handler, the manager, who's like, okay, but no, because we can't fit you into any of these places. Like, you need to get an email and a contact, because a yes on Instagram is not going to go very far, especially when you get buried with the thousands of story replies and inboxes they probably get on a weekly basis. You need to find who handles their schedule, because that's the person who will tell you, they'll tell you, I want to hang out. That's the person who will tell you when they have free time to.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people get upset, like, yeah. And I've seen people get upset. Oh, he never hit me back, or he never responded to me, or he tagged my story. I'm like, that's not a guarantee, though. Unless you got it in writing, this time, this date. Here's the link, which is what we even do now with Blurred's Eye. It's not, and I'm just like, maybe a lot of people just don't know. They get in there, but then it's like figure it out, and that was my goal with that. I low-key want to make another part called convention crash outs, because I've seen a lot of that happen.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I don't want people to get in their feelings if they don't get the interview that they want right then and there. People are busy, people are tired, and if you have like their contact information, you can always schedule later. That has worked out for me. Uh, there've been a few people that I reached out at the con, things that happen, and then I end up, interviewing them later down the line and still had that great content. So don't crash out, because that's how like you kind of actually block yourself from those opportunities, because it's like, oh, I don't want to work with that person, or oh, like we're never entitled to these people's time. We're just not, and that's okay. And it's
Yeah,
kind of funny because like even last night was trying to get an interview, and this poor little white girl was like, I don't know. I was like, I had to reassure her, like, it is okay if you don't know the answer, or if this is like not a good time, or if it won't happen tonight. Like, that's perfectly fine. I will try another time or reach out some type of a way. And I think like just having that ounce of kindness and respect goes so far in this industry, because people will remember you for that. So that's my little
yeah.
tidbit.
My sales pitch, which has worked so far, has always been one thing we are is accommodating, one thing we ain't is picky. Like
Right.
it's, and they are always happy to hear that. Because when we like, I met Cleo at DreamCon and pitched him to Blurred's Eye before I was like really super official with them. That was just me getting him back for favors he had done me over the past year without even knowing it. And then after that was done, I kind of pivoted him to Kira and Chris on camera. And I told him on camera, I was like, bro, if the answer is no, I'll just cut this out. It's cool. But he said, yeah, but that was in July. He didn't come on until damn near Halloween. Phil Lamar, we met in September, but he didn't come on until January. So it's going to be a process.
Yeah. It's just be patient and take your time. And like I said, if you can't always get the big get, there's so many other people that you can talk to at the conventions. Like there's so many comic book creators that are trying to, get their product out there and that have interesting stories to tell. There are plenty of entrepreneurs that are so talented and are providing some amazing services and quality products. Like you could put them on the spot. So just never have this attitude where it's like, I need to get this big person to go big. And in reality, you have so many talented people in one space that you can talk to and that have fascinating stories.
Yeah, that's what I told some of my friends at DreamCon last 2 years because it was their first year, and they're like, "Well, I didn't get pressed." I'm like, "Bro, go talk to just anybody." It's like the energy here is the energy you feel at there in BlurredCon. I can't really even put into words, but I'm like, some people in our community will never experience this, and that's unfortunate because this is, I don't want to say addicting. It's so liberating to experience. And I'm just like, just go down there and talk to people. If it's a cosplayer, if it's a dude walking by, if it's somebody on the staff, just ask somebody for 5 minutes. I've done a bunch of interviews. I don't know where the hell any of them are. Like none of them went. I did like 6 interviews in Blurred and Dream. Ain't none of them been posted. I don't know where those are at.
Oh no.
I don't know if they lost the footage or what happened, but people like I try to do these because people like you need to do more stuff behind in front of the camera. I'm like, I'll try, but I'll just be like, damn, dog, did y'all like lose the footage or where is it at?
It's so much like people don't understand, if you're doing this by yourself, if you don't have any help, it is so many things that you have to do with your own media production, whether it's doing the interviews, backing up your files, posting, editing. It it's a lot. It's a lot to juggle. I always make the habit like that night or the very next day, backing it up on a backup drive in the cloud. Those are my two best friends because like I can't afford to lose nothing.
Yeah, laptop, hard drive in the hotel, and then whatever I catch that day, long form is going right on the hard drive. And then I might keep a copy on my phone, or if for some reason it's getting full, or they want to throw me a random update I don't need, then I just take it off my phone and put it on there, just hard storage. But yeah, I try to help where I can, but I'm also just like, yeah, if y'all don't get approved for a panel or whatever, like we only got so many spaces. Everybody not getting in, even on general admission. Just don't go on the internet having a cow because then everyone else can see that, and that's just gonna keep you from getting into other places that you maybe could do the same thing at. Doesn't mean it's not. Doesn't mean no forever. It just means not right
Not
now.
right now. Yeah. And the little tip that I tell my students, I tell them like you can there's so many like free stuff that be happening in the DMV. You could just start building your portfolio there and working those spaces. The organizers are so appreciative because a lot of times the regular media doesn't really cover that. And there's like so many amazing things that are happening, whether it is a concert series, whether it is a nonprofit that's donating clothes or food. If you put them on the spot and start like building your portfolio from that, then people can see like, oh, you're serious about it, and it's like it's of quality, then you can get your foot in the door. It's just that always start small and start building yourself up.
Yeah, because even I mean, you may not always have that viral moment. I still haven't. I've been on
I
the
feel like
internet.
we had a couple big, you know, some big posts that went pretty far.
They went far. I've never had anything like of my own, like YouTube or Facebook. Like stuff I've recorded, never stuff that has me in it. Like my last million view video, it was the dude who does NPC Miles Morales, and he met the dude who plays Miles Morales in the PS4 game. I don't know what side of the internet they sent me to, but it was a white and Mexican MAGA rally in the comments. They were just upset about. I'm like, all they did was shake hands and like take a picture. Why are we so angry?
It's so
And
weird. I never understand why my page goes to people that's not gonna vibe with me. It's like you all
they sent me. Yeah, they sent me to the alt right side of Facebook, and then I couldn't understand some of it, but I saw I was getting put in like Latino nerd Facebook groups, and they were saying a bunch of not nice stuff. I'm like, dog, it's a cosplayer and a voice actor. Why are we this act like this ain't even the real Miles Morales? It's just a dude who goes on TikTok and goes. They met. They respect the fact that as of this week the game Miles and movie Miles have both met him and given him an official cosign is now a factor. But this is just a happy cosplayer. Why are y'all so upset? Y'all, there was whole. I'm talking like they're trying to replace us. They're taking everything from us. We can't have anything.
but Miles Morales is just he's just another Spider-Man. He's not replacing Peter Parker per se. It's
They
one
were
there's so many
angry.
other Spider-Men, Spider people. There's so many other
I,
Spider people.
I'm
Why
just
are we
like, you know
upset?
what? I'm like, I'm in the Facebook program, so I get paid for the clicks. I'm not mad at it, but y'all just this is the first thing y'all went to, like. But yeah, I've had moments that are. I think I've done like a couple 100,000 from like snippets on TikTok, but I've never had like a full video go like absolutely insane. And I've been making stuff since I want to say I was 13, like back in '08, like when YouTube first started letting you everyone have accounts. So I've made a lot of viral moments. I've been in the background of a lot of them. I've created or shot or recorded or edited a lot of them. Can't get that to come home though. I don't know why. I'm like Samurai Jack during that 50-year period. I watched societies and creators and eras rise and fall, and I'm still here just coasting. Not giving up yet, but just don't let numbers drive you insane because I can generate them everywhere else. Can't seem to get them at home. Same thing when it comes to like bigger name people. If you give me a somebody before you could buy them, give me somebody with a blue check next to their name, I can get their attention directly. If you try to get me to get everyone's attention, nobody hears me. It's this weird limbo space. That's also what's made my journey so hard because nobody else has this experience. It's just me in this tiny little weird experience bubble, and it's just like I don't know what the solution is, and neither does anyone else. But I'm swinging away.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, with well, at least how I view it, make the content that you want to see, and then eventually people will come. That's the way that that's kind of like my way of motivating myself. Because, like, if I stay true to my mission and what I want to put out there, eventually my audience will come.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been on. I've always just I don't know. I get niche is the new cool word, but I hate when people ask me that up front because it feels like what box do you fit in? Whereas I'm from that early era of the internet where people just put out whatever they wanted and you were there for them and whatever creativity they could make versus whatever they could get creative around instead of just here's an idea I had, I'm just making it versus here's an idea I had pertaining to this intersection and I don't ever cross out of this border. And that's just something I can never adhere to. I clearly make a lot of content around the same type of topics, but I'm not gonna only be grounded in those only. Those might do better, but you'll always see me doing different types of stuff. Like what if they had the purge in the office? That's an idea I've had for like 3 years. I just finally sat down and made it. Like even learning how to green screen before I was using poster boards because I didn't know any better. I didn't know my editing software had a green screen option till like 2 or 3 years ago, and I've had it for like six. Then I just went and bought like my green screen now is just a giant bed sheet against my wall. It's not anything fancy. I very much just get it how I live out here. But and I try to do. I'm trying to do more of helping our people behind the scenes, because especially being the oldest cousin in a very large family, or the most called upon on the other side, and being the oldest sibling, I'm used to just being like, all right, move out the way, I got it. But I'm trying to get out of that habit. So like with like Blurred's Eye, a room full of blurs, or Get Bit, or whatever, I try to show everybody a little bit like, here's how you can do this, just so if you can't reach me, or here's a better way to move with this, or um, like with Lady, I know she kept changing her Instagram name to like every con she would go to. And I'm like, you should make yourself just Geek by Heart and then change the thing, your description to at or going to. Because then when people try to come find you after you change the name, it's not going to go to your profile. And now it's just at Geek by Heart. And her and her husband Jay, they've really shifted their whole streaming thing. And they got a new schedule now. The reactions are doing a lot better. And I'm like, I'm happy I could contribute a little piece to that adjustment to that journey. So I like being able to, even if it doesn't work for me, I like seeing other people succeed. And that's not something I see a lot of people have. And I'm glad to be around people that do. So, even, yeah, I haven't had my big moment yet, but I've been in the background of a lot of them. If like you zoom in closely, I'm there.
Yeah, you kind of have developed the title of like the engineer on Blur's Eye View, just really helping running this ship. And it's really amazing to see that you're willing to help out so many people and talking with other people. It's uplifting to hear like the crab in the barrel mentality. It's kind of like doesn't exist in our circle. And so it's like we're just taking the time to really uplift each other and just want everybody to win.
Yeah, and that's always been my thing. I'm just like clear. So like when I do things for other people, I'm like, and I see it take off. I'm like, okay, so that idea is not the idea wasn't crazy. It just my theory has always been we don't have bad ideas because we all have the same. We all have those posts about everybody's grandma had this picture on the wall, or every black person had that living room you can't go into. I'm like, so we all have the same kind of funny. I just think the algorithm only lets one of us get good at it, and then we unfortunately get this Highlander mentality of the next person that tries to do it. Oh, you're just copying them. Whereas, what was the? Oh, so this was at BlurredCon. We went to the Vigilante screening, and I remember Cleo had gotten some heat from a certain female rappers community, because he had a song he made back when he was with Soldier Boy, and then she made a song with the same sample and I think the same title, and he was like, that lets me know the idea wasn't bad. It just wasn't my idea to flourish with. And I'm like, that's kind of a mentality I've adopted, and I kind of told him that same thing when I saw somebody else make this video, and the joke was basically like streaming companies are just going to reinvent cable like it's a new thing. And I'm like, I made that same joke like 4 years ago, punchline and all, and now here it is again. And I see like 8 other people make the same damn thing, and now it's working for them. And he's like, don't focus on the numbers. He's like, but you're not wrong. Sometimes you might have an idea that doesn't work for you, but will work if you give it to somebody else. And maybe you should try more behind the scenes things. 2 days later, that's when they kind of tossed me into the Powerline video with him and Dimitri downstairs at in the little what is the little main stage area of BlurredCon. So
Oh, I think I
that
know what you're talking about.
that was I filmed that. So and again, I'm very good at like just jumping and snapping into place. I don't know how. It's something. He's like, I kept running in. He's like, no, believe it or not, that's a skill that goes very far in the industry I work in. So hold on to that and use it the best you can. So when I ran into Dimitri, he's like, yeah, me and Cleo are gonna do this like power line thing. And he's like, you wanna be in it? I'm like, sure, why not? So y'all were up at the table and he was like, okay, so what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, okay, so what are we doing? I'm like, y'all are the popular people. Y'all should. I thought I was just holding the camera. And then he's like, I'm not good at this. I'm like, say less. I don't know what happened. Something just came. I was like, all right, can I get like 80 y'all? Stand over there, stand over there, stand over there. We'll make like a half circle. It doesn't need to be a full thing. And then I saw these 3 girls walking dressed like Steve Harvey. I'm like, I need y'all over here in the center. And then the video went viral. And I'm just like, okay, so yeah, behind the scenes stuff is definitely another special area I'm working on. So I can make magic happen. It's just trying to get a little bit of that sprinkle in my own areas where I'm. That's the journey I've forever been on. 13 going on 30 next year, one day at a time.
Tafari, the director. I can see it. I can see that it's working out. All right. Where can people find you on the
Oh,
internet?
officially, I'm here on all platforms. Just started streaming on Twitch. I do what I call like my walk and talk thing, where it's me. I'm on a walking pad. I'm running through like my old retro games, like Dreamcast, GameCube, PS2, N64. I'm also just chatting it up while working out. So something I always wanted to get into streaming, but I wanted to do something unique when I jumped in. I didn't just want to be sitting there and talking to people and not have any energy like I've seen some people do and then wonder why it doesn't work. Also, I'm very much past my loud boy screaming phase. I ain't got lung capacity like that. I got asthma. So that's, if you want to get fit or just watch me fail at old things, that's you can find me there. I post on YouTube's usually on Monday, usually just to kind of make Mondays suck a little bit less. Other than that, you find me everywhere. Everywhere that there's a place to have an account, I'm pretty much there or affiliated with someone in the blurred space. Just look in the background hard enough, you might see me walking by.
Nice. And then I'm gonna find the earlier 13-year-old videos. Usually 13-year-old. I'm gonna find it on YouTube because you should have
Yeah,
told. Now I'm gonna find it.
they had dates. It was I had an old big back dinosaur TV, an old Sony camera, and I used to just film. What was it? It was War of the Monsters and Star Wars Battlefront, because there were those games had like little hidden stuff that I read about back when cheat code websites still exist. And I'm like, I couldn't find any proof that these could happen. So I was like, let me go ahead and see if I can film these things. And those actually blew up back then. Like 10,000. Those are like my first viral videos. Those and what was it? I used to make Sonic the Hedgehog compilations because I was still learning how to use Windows Movie Maker. So I like put little slideshows together. Um, but yeah, the War of the Monsters videos blew up, and then I think the company that was making the game it went under because I got randomly claimed and didn't know how to fight it back when gaming videos could get copyrighted. So a lot of money I never got to see.
But I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the clips for sure. All right, thank you so much for being on the show and see how you guys have glowed from that conversation. I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Bye.
Yeah, if y'all got comments or questions, feel free to ask them below. I'm probably forgetting to tell y'all like 50 other things. I'll come back and answer them another day.
All right. Bye.